welcome back to my channel. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of project panning, and I've done quite a few of them in the past, and I'll leave my playlist, whatever, blah blah blah, down below so you guys can check it out. The past few months I have been struggling with my project pan roulette, and it just was a really hard one for me to get through, and so I have officially decided to call it quits, and instead of doing like a regular finale type of video because you won't see much progress, I decided to do a video to help newer project panners to help gather their items and make it a more successful project pan than this past one. Overall, I mean, the project pan, I did have some successes. I did finish a few items. I noticed that some things just had expired, but this is just a video for you guys who are new to project panning or are veterans. You can definitely leave your ideas down below about what to consider when you are picking your products for a project pan so you don't end up in a similar situation as I am. So starting off, I just want to say, for when you are project panning, you make the rules, so don't let other YouTubers kind of drag you down or say like, oh, you didn't finish that. Like, if you want to finish a product, that's totally up to you. If you want to just hit pan, that's totally up to you. Just set those boundaries at the very beginning. Just state, hey, I really just want to show more love to this product because it's been hidden in my collection. All the rules are totally up to you. These are just ways for things to consider when you are pulling products into a project pan and ideas about how to make it a successful project pan. The first thing to consider is to not have too many products. That is my first downfall. When I did this product, I was trying to be bold and to pick 12 items. For me, whenever I go over 10 items, and I knew this from the past, it's too much. Things get lost in my collection. There are way too many in one particular category, that type of thing. And it's a lot of products. It's overwhelming. So having more than 10 for me is just too much. Personally, I love doing smaller project pans, like if you want to do a smaller seasonal project pan where you're only doing like 5 items. That way you're not overwhelmed and you can still use other things in your collection. Other things in your collection can still get love and used. Because if you do more than like 10 items, it's pretty much your whole entire face every day is going to be the same thing on your face every single day. So the second tip is to have all of them in one location. For me, I had some things on my vanity, some things on my bathroom sink, some things in my office, so they weren't all together, and it also make it so it's visible. So if you want to have like a plate or a bowl where all your things are together on top of your vanity or wherever you do your makeup, that's the easiest way for you to remind yourself that those are the products you can use. They're easy, you can just pick them up, use them. Also have some that are travel friendly, so put your lipstick in your purse or put a little sample size of your fragrance if you're trying to finish up in your purse, so that way you can use things on the go. It's not just like a one-time thing in the morning. So there's just some ideas of how to use those products more frequently. So for me, I did have a struggle with that. I had some things all over the place, and so things got lost and misplaced, and I did end up losing a lip gloss. So that's just one thing that I needed to work on, was just to have everything together and not go crazy. So the next tip I've already kind of stumbled upon is to not have too many products in the same category. Just make sure to have just a few in each category, or if you know it's a category that you are crazy about and you know you can do it, you can definitely do it that way. But for me, this past project, for me, the downfall is I had too many face products. Face products for me are really difficult. So for me, for this past project, I did have too many face products. I had a blush, a bronzer, and a highlight. And then I'll go into the next portion in just a second, but just those 3 in general would be too much. That's too many face products, especially since I'm only going to be using one bronzer, one blusher, one highlight for the whole project. It was just, there's no way for me to experiment. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that be comfortable with how many of each category you are bringing into your project. This kind of falls into the first one about categories, is to kind of pay attention to other project pans. So if you're someone like me who has 2 or 3 different project pans going on at the same time, please consider those ones as well, because for me, I had way too many of eyeshadows. As you guys have seen, or maybe not, I am doing a Pan That palette, so for this past project pan, I decided to put 2 dark eyeshadows into this project. Not the best idea, because for one, they're both very similar in shade, and I also have a Pan That palette, so for me that was too many eyeshadows that I was trying to finish up, and it just wasn't working. Also, As I have mentioned, I had a blush, bronzer, and a highlight in this project pan, but in another project pan I also had another blush and highlight. So that was just, I did not pay attention to that. It was just something that was kind of just missed somehow. I thought I could do it. It didn't happen, so unfortunately it did not work for me. The next tip is to make sure the quality is okay for a project pan. So you are trying to finish your product. You want to make sure that from the beginning to the end that the product is in good quality. So if you're putting in a product that is already like, it might be expiring, it might not be, I would just not put it in a project pan. So for me, I had 3 products in this project that the quality when putting into the project was just kind of iffy, and then throughout the frequent use it just was not working. The quality had definitely gone downhill, things had officially expired, they were smelling funky. So for the sake of yourself, make sure the products that you are going to use and try to finish up are products that are going to make it to the end. Like, you're not going to put products in that are already like wishy-washy for quality issues. So that's just a really good tip. For me, I had the NYX blush that completely crumbled and was awful. I also had a Dior eyeshadow which had gotten a little smell and it was falling out of the pan. And then I had the nail polish which was chipping and awful. So those were 3 products for me that did not work, and something you should consider when you are putting products in. For the next tip, I know this is kind of obvious, but make sure they are products that you like. So if you're someone who is a huge lip person, put lip products in your project pan. But if you're someone who you hate using eyeliner, don't put them in. Like, that just doesn't make sense. For me, the thing that I had a hard time issue with, it was a project pan roulette, so I didn't have a choice. Was to put in colors that I just don't use. So they just did not work for me. They're dark eyeshadows. I don't use dark eyeshadows, so I shouldn't have put them in my project pan. Something super obvious, but sometimes gets overlooked like I did, because for me, I had a hard time using, again, the dark eyeshadows, and I'm a huge fan of using the fragrance that I was loving. So something I need to keep in mind is to make sure the products, every single product that is going into my project pan is just not in the project pan to finish it. It's something that I like and use. This is one that is also a pretty obvious one, is make sure you are putting items into your project pan that are good for the season. So for me, I'm a huge fan of bright lips in the summer, like this orange. I'm a huge fan of bright orange lips in the summer. So for me, putting in a nude lip gloss was probably not the smartest idea. So if you are someone who is really, really dry in the winter months, you would not put a oil-free type of foundation in your project pan. Like, that wouldn't work. Or if you are someone who is really, really, really oily in the summer, you're not going to go ahead and put a hydrating mask like inside your project pan. So those are things that you need to keep in mind, is make sure that the things are worth using in the season. Again, for me, it was the lip gloss. I'm a huge fan of bright lipsticks in the summertime, so me using a nude lip gloss was probably not the smartest idea. Also, for me, I do get a little bit more shine in the summer months, so putting in a shimmery, hydrating skin perfector from Becca was probably not my smartest move. This also goes along with the putting in products that you like, but put in a couple of new products, or products that you've been wanting to use in your collection. For me, I had just done a huge haul and I had got a whole bunch of things from Gratis, but for some reason in the project pan they were all kind of older and things that probably should have just gotten tossed, just because they're things that were expiring. So make sure you put in a couple new products, things that you're really excited about. For me, I did do somewhat of a good job because I really wanted to use the Marc Jacobs cover stick. It was new in my collection. I wanted to experiment with it. So that was something for me that was a little bit easier to pick up every day because I was still learning about it, figuring out how it worked. Same with the Boom Boom cream. I really enjoyed it. It was really new and exciting and smelled good. So those are things that worked for me in this project, were things that I loved, and I wish I'd put a few more things in that were newer in my collection, because finishing things that I've already used a while and they've been in my collection for a long time, it can get boring. So that's just something to keep in mind. So this one can go a few different ways. It's okay to put things that will branch you out and step out of your box. So if you're someone who's like, I've always wanted to try red lipstick, go ahead and put one into your collection. I probably wouldn't put in like a full size, maybe like a deluxe size one of a product that you are kind of experimenting with, but don't go too crazy. For me, that was definitely the time that I decided to put kale into my project pan. I definitely wanted to try some newer lipstick, something a little bit more bold, but probably putting a forest green type of blue lipstick into my project pan probably wasn't the smartest idea. So it's definitely okay to put things into your project pan that is gonna just enhance your makeup experience, something that you've always wanted to try, or a brand that you've always wanted to use, or if it's a product that you've always been scared to use, it's totally okay to put it in a project pan. And it doesn't have to be something that you finish. It could just be something like, I want to use this once a week because I want to just learn more about it, play with it a little bit more, and that's totally okay. But I would just know your boundaries and know how far out of the box you're willing to step. For me, that lipstick is beautiful, but it's definitely not something I would use all the time, and it was probably a bit too bold for me. So that is it for this video. I hope you found it helpful if you are new to project panning, things to consider when you are choosing your products. I really wish this project pan worked because I was so excited in the beginning, but it was just too much. There was definitely things that if I had watched this video, I would be like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, I wish I had followed my own advice. But it was definitely a learning curve, so that is awesome that I was at least able to learn from this experience, and I was able to finish a few of the products and made a lot more progress on products that was really getting neglected and things that I wanted to use. But there was also too many products in this project that just made it so it was not a very successful one. I wasn't able to finish everything, and so unfortunately I had to call it quits. But I hope you found this video helpful. I will be doing a new project pan, probably a nice small seasonal project pan, so make sure you stick around and subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, if you're a project panner, or if you're a veteran project panner and you have other suggestions, make sure to leave them down below. Let everyone know your suggestions, and I hope this was helpful again, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!